Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Wow.
Look at that audio. Hey, you're listening to the
That's a treat.
Fantasy Professionals. The Fantasy Professionals. I'm your host, Cody Askins. I'm sitting here with Mr. The Only, the One, Dallas Keithley of Secure Insurance Group.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We've got Brandon Katka. Brandon Katka is the senior analyst of one of the only sites that I use anymore. He's at lineupblitz.com. He is the senior fantasy analyst. Did I say that right, Brandon?
You did. You got it exactly right.
Thank you very much. I try to do it at least once a day. Tell me a little bit about lineupblitz.com.
Well, the guys at lineupblitz.com, we're professionals. We've been doing fantasy football for over 100 combined years if you take all of our staff together. We've been playing since the mid-'90s, the late '90s. We've been, back in the day when you had to get USA Today on Tuesday morning and go through and rack up all the stats.
Do it the hard way.
Do it the hard way.
Kids don't appreciate it nowadays.
They really don't. We've been doing it pen and paper, and we have a lot of experience. You can ask our significant others, our wives and girlfriends, that they'll tell you we all spend way too much time on fantasy football. And so because of that, we want to take that time that we spend and actually use it for our members and help them win championships, because that's what it's all about, right?
Okay,
well for me it is. Not for fantasy champs.
Consistently second every year,
Yeah.
Mr. Cody Askins. Now, let me ask you this. Okay, and to be on, we try to make our show about positivity, being positive, being a bright spot in somebody's day, but let me be a little bit negative.
Here he goes.
There are so many sites up. I guarantee you I've got my laptop sitting in front of me, I could pull up 50 sites in 10 seconds. What makes you different?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because you hit on a good point there. What makes us different? Well, just like every other site, we offer a bunch of different things. We offer rankings, both weekly and rest of season. We have reports, articles, we have a draft kit, and we also have a daily fantasy portion of our site.
Okay.
But what we feel like makes us different is we offer unlimited Q&A.
What does that mean? Nobody does that. What does that mean?
So I'll kind of break it down here for you. So if you're a member of our site, you can click on a link on our site, and it'll take you to a little box, and you just enter in your question in the box. And then immediately, one of the Lineup Blitz experts will get on your question, find an answer, and get you a really detailed answer to your question. Talking stat breakdowns, ranking breakdowns.
And this isn't an extra cost. This comes with.
It comes with the package.
So if, let's say, I don't want to say any names, a certain someone initials Cody Askins sends me a trade, and I feel as if this trade would not be in the best interest of my team.
And he does it anyway.
But Cody tells me vehemently that I'm crazy if I do not do this trade. That would be a question that I could write in and have an answer within a couple days?
Less than a couple days, it'd be a couple hours, but absolutely, you could get an immediate answer.
Very nice.
And we will answer whether or not you're getting the best deal.
And that's just expert Q&A. I mean,
expert Q&A. Okay. Anything and everything fantasy sports related, you can ask us, and we will give you an answer immediately.
Wow. Now you did tell us on as you were coming in the studio, you're doing something special for our listeners.
We absolutely are. So for everybody who's listening out there today, if you log onto our site, normally our site costs $29.95 for the season. But for this weekend only, if you log onto our website and use the coupon code JOCK, that's J-O-C-K, JOCK, if you use that coupon code on our site, you can get $20 off of our service. So you will pay $9.95 for expert fantasy analysis, unlimited Q&A all season long.
And that's monthly?
No, that is for the whole season.
$9.95.
One time.
That's access to draft kit, reports, articles, rankings, daily fantasy too.
Anything and everything that you want, just use that coupon code again. That's JOCK on our website. Coupon code JOCK at lineupblitz.com.
And do they still get expert Q&A?
They still get that expert Q&A all season long.
Expert Q&A about fantasy, romance, whatever we need.
You need all the help you can get. Yeah.
We actually have Bob on the line. Bob has a question for us. Bob, are you there?
Yeah.
What can we do for you?
I got a comment. You were talking about the strangest thing you ever saw of somebody in a different uniform.
Uh-huh.
By far, the strangest thing, and I'm pretty old, I ever saw was Bo Jackson coming to Kansas City in a Raiders uniform.
That is an excellent point. And You know,
I mean,
when
you were there.
I do remember that. Bo Jackson.
You remember the baseballs flying at him?
Yes, I do. I wasn't there in the stadium, but I do remember reading about that. Actually, remember reading about that the next day, and yeah, it was not a friendly confines at all.
Oh, it was wild.
Yeah, Bo Jackson in a Raiders uniform.
Back.
That's a great mention. That's perfect.
Bob, thank
He
you.
could have been mayor of Kansas City if he'd have signed with the Chiefs instead of the Raiders.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bo Jackson didn't care about anybody's feelings. That's for sure. Bob, I thank you for calling in. Brandon?
Okay.
Yes, sir. Have a great weekend. Thanks, sir.
Okay, bye.
We would actually like to do something now. Cody and I, this may surprise you, we are actually a little bit competitive. And we have put together our top 5 quarterbacks.
And I'm going to win. I'm definitely going to win this. Again, Brandon Katka, fantasy senior NFL analyst from lineupblitz.com is in the studio, and he's going to actually grade our top 5 quarterbacks and tell us who maybe is smarter. We already know who's better.
Well, I think you're wrong there. I think it's definitely smarter. So, top 5 quarterbacks. Cody, let's go from 5 to 1.
Okay.
And again, we have not. These are our preferences. I did look on about 7 different sites to kind of put together my list, and some personal preference, some, a little bit of prognostication, if you will.
Sure.
And so, let's go 5 to 1. You tell me who's your number 5 quarterback for the upcoming season, fantasy-wise.
Mine is Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. And to be honest with you, my number 5 is also Russell Wilson.
What? That's a
I
horrible
know.
start.
This is, and we didn't plan this. I wish we would have planned it so we could have had different
Well,
guys.
so far we're tied. I was going to tell you that right
Yeah.
now.
That's,
He's
some
good at
keen
grading
judging
this.
there.
Yeah.
That's some keen judging. Now, the reason I put Russell Wilson, I honestly didn't want him in my top 5
Right.
because there's some guys
I
that
didn't
didn't
either.
make it, but he is Mr. Consistent, never kept out of the end zone last year. Every
Yeah.
game that he played, he was in the end zone.
Yeah.
2 5-touchdown games. And what I did for a lot of mine, what a big portion of my decision of where I put these guys was based on their upcoming strength of schedule.
Yeah.
And the Seattle Seahawks, they do have the 5th hardest schedule in the league upcoming next year.
Look at Dallas
That's
dropping
right.
some fantasy knowledge. Hey, Brandon from lineupblitz.com, what do you think about Russell Wilson this season?
Well, personally, we have Russell Wilson ranked a little higher than you guys, just because we felt like he was a really strong performer last year, especially down the stretch. He's really turned it on in the fantasy playoffs, and if you had him starting on your team, you definitely had a good shot at winning your league. I know I did, and I won the league. So he just
On to the next quarter.
What do you know? What do you know? An NFL fantasy analyst wins this fantasy award. That was we didn't expect that at all.
no,
Yeah, no.
didn't see that one coming.
What do you have to? I mean, how much though does losing Marshawn Lynch in that backfield? How much does that hurt him? That's what kept nagging at me.
I think that actually helps him because last season, just watching games and watching the game film, we really didn't feel that Marshawn Lynch really had a terrific season last year. And Thomas Rawls coming in is definitely going to have a good impact on him. I don't think you'll really see any dip in production there at all.
I also read
Wow.
that the core players, all of their core players, are under 28 years old.
Yeah.
So could
And
be
another
there for a
thing
while.
is Jimmy Graham had a bad year last year. That's
He
a
did.
guy a lot of people forget about. I mean, he was a monster in New Orleans, and you bring him into the mix. I mean, there's no telling what he can do in extra year chemistry with Russell Wilson. So
Very
Perfect.
nice. Number 4, who do you got?
Andrew Luck.
This is
Big money
pathetic.
Luck. Big
This is
young,
pathetic.
big money, big young, big money Luck.
I also have Andrew Luck,
Okay.
which irritates me.
I can
a
hear
little bit.
radio stations tuning off right
see-
this.
We're losing
But see,
listeners.
I have Andrew Luck for reasons.
Yeah.
Again,
I just have him because he was paid all that money.
he's got to be the smartest guy on the field. That
Except for when he plays Mr. Brady, but okay.
well, you talk about an education. This dude, I'm talking about.
I guess they're
book-
never on the
book
field at the
learning.
same time.
Book learning. Yeah. He's got great upside. He was hurt a lot last year, so kind of a down year for him. I know a lot of people took him out first overall last year. I don't know that I'd recommend doing that again.
What's your
Right.
thoughts, Brandon?
we have Andrew Luck actually just below Russell Wilson, but honestly, I can't see a wrong choice there between the two. I think 4 and 5 there for both those guys is pretty spot on.
I love me some T.Y. Hilton too.
Oh yeah, he's a stud.
Okay, number 3, I'll go. I've actually, this is hopefully an upset or a surprise to you. I've got Big Ben, and I'm not a Steelers fan.
Boo!
I am
Come
not.
on.
A Steelers
Are
fan.
we talking about quarterbacks? What's going on here? We're talking about NFL quarterbacks with fantasy production?
Think about this, though. Big Ben probably could be number 1 overall, and we'll ask our expert over here. Could be the number 1 wide receiver overall. Could be he's throwing to probably the number 1 player overall.
He probably is.
He's got the number 1 running back, in my opinion, behind him. He's also got this year, and one of my big sleepers is Mr. Ladarius Green, a huge tight end. Big Ben loves his tight end.
Before we let Brandon just totally make fun of you, I've got Brady, because when he comes back from that 4-game suspension, he's going to be hot, he's going to be heavy, and he's going to light it up.
If you're okay with your quarterback playing only 3/4 of the season,
You know what I only care about is my quarterback playing the playoffs, because I'll be in my fantasy playoffs, and as long as I have Brady, I cannot lose.
Brandon, help me out here.
All right, so between those two, I think there's risk and reward with both these guys. Obviously, Brady being out, if you pick him, you've got to make sure you get a great backup to back up Brady for the first 4 games of the season. And if you don't, you could easily start out your season 0-4, and you don't want to do that. Big Ben, I'm with Dallas. I like Big Ben better than Brady.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I like Big Ben better than Brady. There is nobody in the NFL, and somebody can call and correct me if I'm wrong, that has more weapons than Big Ben. I mean, he's got Antonio Brown, number 1 wide receiver in fantasy last year. He's got Le'Veon Bell coming back, and we all know what he's capable of. He'll probably be the number 1 running back coming off the board in most people's drafts. And then, I was actually going to talk about Ladarius Green. Dallas is over there stealing my thunder. But this is a guy who played in San Diego behind Antonio Gates and really struggled to see the field. But he is athletic.
He lit it up.
He lit it up, and he's an athletic freak and will tear it up with Big Ben thrown to him. Look for the Steelers to have a big year this year.
Nice.
Do you sleep, or do you just study fantasy all day?
All day long.
This is impressive. I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but this dude is dropping some bombs.
And to impress us even more, we found out today that he's newly engaged as well.
That is correct. That is
very
correct.
nice.
Does she play fantasy?
She does not, but it's awesome because she lets me play fantasy and has never once
He starts with the
complained.
left.
She's listening in, so I'm not lying. She's
Okay,
never once
okay.
complained.
Now we know why he's speaking so loud.
Talk to us this time.
That is awesome. Hey, you guys are listening to The Fantasy Professional. We've got Brandon Katka from lineupblitz.com in studio. They're giving out a promo code for their entire package. Tell them about that one more time, Brandon. What are you giving and why are you doing it?
So we are giving everything that every other fantasy sports rankings website does. Reports, rankings, all that good stuff. But we are additionally giving out unlimited questions and answers from a Lineup Blitz expert. And to me, that's invaluable because there's no other website out there right now doing that. And so if you sign up with our coupon code JOCK, you can actually save $20 this weekend only. You only pay $9.95 for that.
For the whole season?
For the whole season.
Where do they put that JOCK coupon code in at?
So when you go in and hit order now, at the bottom you'll scroll down, there'll be a little place that says coupon code. And if you just type in JOCK there, it will reduce the price to $9.95.
Wow, very nice.
What kind of discount is that again?
It's $20 off.
$20 off. Very nice.
That's crazy.
Brandon, do you have time to stick around one more segment?
I sure do.
Let's do it.
Okay, you're listening to the Fantasy Professionals. We got Brandon Katka from lineupblitz.com. Check them out on Facebook, Lineup Blitz, or on their website, lineupblitz.com. $20 off this weekend only if you use JOCK, because you heard it on the Fantasy Professionals.
Thanks for listening to this call.
Welcome back to the Fantasy Professionals. I'm sitting here with Dallas Keithley. I'm your host, Cody Askins, co-host Dallas Keithley, right beside me, and a fantasy analyst, Brandon Katka from lineupblitz.com.
All right, as we get back into me destroying Cody's hopes and dreams on the top 5 quarterbacks.
Oh, gosh. Hey, if you guys are just now jumping in, we've got Brandon Katka from the lineupblitz.com. He's grading our work. They have a fantasy football ranking service where they give out expert Q&A. You can use the word JOCK this weekend only and only pay $9.95 for the whole year, even for expert Q&A, draft kit rankings. Am I saying that right?
You are definitely saying that right.
It feels wrong. It feels wrong.
Unlimited Q&A. Unlimited. Can't say that enough.
All right.
Goodness gracious.
So who you got at number 2? I'm going to let you go first because I feel like...
Hey, I'm going to surprise some people, but I'm going to back it up as I always do. Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer.
How how?
So that means
Hey, he has arguably he's got more weapons than Big Ben.
there's a lot of argument there.
David Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald. Do I need to continue? Michael Floyd, John Brown. Come on,
If you've got a time
Daniel
machine,
Fells,
he's
the best
got a
coach,
great
maybe
wide receiver.
the best coach in the NFL.
I wouldn't argue with that. I wouldn't argue.
Bruce
with that.
Arians. I mean, come on.
I've got to go with Aaron Rodgers though. Let me lay down some stats.
Okay.
Last year, Aaron Rodgers 9 games without an interception. 9 games without an interception.
It's a long time.
That is also without Jordy Nelson.
Yeah.
And Mr. Nelson is coming back. He's been out there farming, lifting hay bales, doing all that stuff. He is coming back with a vengeance. And not only this, the easiest schedule, as prognosticated by ESPN,
Yeah.
the Green Bay Packers have the easiest schedule in the league this year.
What do you think of that, Brandon?
I gotta give the win on this one on number 2 to Dallas.
Well, I know I'm going to win number 1, which is what matters. My number 1 was his number 2. Stupid number 2. Number 1, Aaron Rodgers.
So that means that Cam Newton is not in your top 5.
He's
Wow.
not.
I've got Cam Newton at number 1. I didn't want to. I
Oh, come on.
raising my hand. My mom was listening with the wooden spoon. I
He won't
flipped
make
this
it
back
through
and
the
forth
season.
3 or 4 times. I had Aaron Rodgers number 1, but after what Cam did last year, 1 game without a touchdown, only 1 game, 3 games with 5 touchdowns. He's got Kelvin Benjamin coming back this year. He's at 12 when it comes to strength of schedule,
Well,
and he's always a threat to get out there and run down the field.
it's incredible we have him number 1, and yeah, he's great, but he has nobody around him, no help. What do you think, Brandon?
Give me the belt. Give me the
Overall,
belt.
I'm gonna do it overall, and I have to say that Dallas has the better top 5 QBs coming into this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brilliance came from lineupblitz.com.
And you know, Cody, I gotta say, what decided it was you left Cam Newton out of your top 5.
Yeah, he's not.
Like if
Brandon's not coming on the show anymore.
if you would have put in Cam Newton instead of Carson Palmer,
Well,
it would have been a much tougher decision. But you made it real easy on me. Thank you.
Carson
I'll be
Palmer.
easy on him.
Carson Palmer. And
Hey, why did you have him? Why did you have Brandon show? How did you find Brandon? What was your?
I noticed brilliance notices brilliance.
Yeah,
Game
come
recognizes
on.
game.
Come on.
I have to agree with you there, Dallas.
After last week, we know there was an article involved.
We did. Oh, that's where you're going. That was called a segue, ladies and gentlemen, but that a co-host didn't pick up on.
Right over
We
your
do
head.
have an article here. You talked about, and this is one of the things that I like about Lineup Blitz, thinking outside the box. I was reading this article here about you've listed three quarterbacks. You know, of course, everybody's going to clue in on Aaron Rodgers, on Cam Newton. You've got 3 quarterbacks here that people might not be thinking about. Tell us a little more about your article.
Yeah, so like you said, everybody wants to have a Cam Newton, an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady on their team. Those guys are studs, everybody knows. But what you want to look for to win a championship in fantasy football is you want to get the top value pick in your draft. And so you gotta find some players at every position that you feel are top value. And so these are 3 players that us at Lineup Blitz feel are top value quarterbacks. They're not necessarily superstars, but if you can get them later on in the draft, maybe as a backup or something, those guys could turn into gold for your fantasy team.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but in my opinion, if you do not get Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers,
Any of my top 5.
if you don't get any of those, there's really not a guy to pick up in the middle of the first round. Am I right? I mean, what your article is saying is you can get these guys later.
You absolutely can. So I've got 3 guys here that we feel are just going to have the potential to just tear it up. The first one is Tyrod Taylor. So Tyrod had a great season last year when he can remain healthy. He averaged top 10 QB numbers during the 13 starts that he had this year. He is a mobile, athletic quarterback, kind of in the style of Cam Newton. Last year, he was 36th in all fantasy players in rushing. He ranked just behind Cam Newton in rushing
All
yards.
fantasy players or all quarterbacks?
All fantasy players.
Because there's not that many quarterbacks.
There's not that many quarterbacks.
no.
Yeah, but he was just a step below Cam Newton as far as in the rushing yards category, and that makes him a really stable player to go with.
Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor, if
I
he
had to
can
think
stay
about
healthy.
who he played for.
Yeah.
For just a second.
He
yeah.
is a
the old
freak
Buffalo Bill.
of an athlete.
He could easily be the steal of your draft. If him and Sammy Watkins get it going, he could easily be the steal of your draft this year.
And we're bringing this to you. Again, Brandon Kaka, the senior analyst with lineupblitz.com, he wrote an article called Quarterbacks Who Will Exceed Expectations in 2016. His first one was Tyrod Taylor. Who's your second one?
I've got Ryan Tannehill. And so he's been around the league for a few years, but he's kind of been a victim of sorts. Yeah, a lot of people may not know this, but he has had 3 different coaches during his first 3 years in the NFL. So that means he's had to learn 3 different schemes his first 3 years. It's hard to develop some consistency. But this year he's got a new coach, Adam Gase. Used to be the coordinator there out there in Chicago Bears, led the turnaround of Jay Cutler. And with him leading the offense there in Miami, they've got Devontae Parker, they've got Jarvis Landry, they got the new running back, Jay Ajayi, and there is a real potential there for Tannehill to put up top 10 numbers.
Wow. And who do you have as your third there?
That's good.
Last but not least, and Dallas is a Cowboys fan, so he's going to like this one, Mr. Tony Romo. Now, you might be saying, how in the world are you saying Tony Romo is going to be the breakout guy? Well, Tony Romo had a really poor year last year. He battled a lot of injuries, threw more interceptions than he did touchdowns, just really, really struggled. But what I'm going off of here is in 2014, Tony Romo put up some of the best numbers of his career. He threw for 34 touchdowns and 3,700 yards. And the big key there for Tony that year was he had DeMarco Murray in the backfield to take off pressure.
So you're saying
you can see where I'm going with this,
can't
you?
Where do you have Ezekiel Elliott?
I have Ezekiel Elliott as a top 10 player, probably the second, maybe third running back coming off the board.
Wow.
I think he's going to be a stud this year. I think he's going to fill in. I think he's more talented than DeMarco Murray ever was. Running behind that Cowboys offensive line, Ezekiel Elliott will probably have the greatest rookie season of any running back ever in the history of the NFL.
Even wearing a full shirt.
Even wearing a full shirt.
You heard it here first.
So I think with Ezekiel Elliott coming into the mix, he's really going to take the pressure off of Romo. Romo's going to go back. He's going to have one more good year left in the tank, and he's gonna put it back a la 2014.
To put this into perspective, talking with Brandon before the show, we found out that Brandon is a Vikings fan.
I am.
You just heard a Vikings fan tell you that Ezekiel Elliott of the Dallas Cowboys is going to have a bigger year than Adrian Peterson had as his rookie year.
I believe it.
Wow. Hey,
lineupblitz.com.
As we finish, Brandon, tell everybody a little bit about lineupblitz.com. We got 2 minutes. Tell them a little bit about lineupblitz.com and what you guys are doing and what you have. Look at the coupon code for them this weekend.
So lineupblitz.com, we're a team of experts that have over 100 years of combined fantasy sports experience. We've been doing this for a very, very long time, and we have decided to start a site to help you guys achieve fantasy excellence. We offer rankings, weekly and rest of seasons, reports, a draft kit, articles, and daily fantasy advice. What sets us apart from the rest is that we offer unlimited questions and answers from a Lineup Blitz expert. You can ask us a question in a matter of a few hours. We will have your question turned around with a complete, detailed answer. This weekend only, we're having a coupon code. Normally it costs $29.95 to register for our service. This weekend only, if you use the coupon code JOCK, that's J-O-C-K, JOCK. If you use that coupon code, you can save $20. So that means $9.95
for the entire season.
The entire season, $9.95. It's worth it. Do it. You're already spending a lot of money on your fantasy league anyway. Go ahead, buy this service, $9.95. Let us help you hoist your fantasy football trophy this year in 2016.
Don't be a magazine guy. Go out there and spend $10.
That's exactly right.
Get you some analysis.
I spend about literally, 80 times that on leagues. So I mean, gosh, if I can't spend $10 to win, that's crazy. We want to thank our sponsors again, Kobe. We want to thank First National Bank, 417 Lighting Specialist, Dr. Papagayo, and JBG Painting, as well as our trivias on the ball, and Alicia from Scissorhands for our Facebook trivia. Brandon, thank you. Brandon Kaka from lineupblitz.com.
Thank you very much.
Give him a radio round of applause. Thank you very much for joining the show.
It was an honor. Thank you, guys.
You bet.
Again, you are listening to The Fantasy Professionals. Thank you very much for tuning in. We hope you have an awesome weekend. Again, Cody and Dallas with Secure Insurance Group. Call us for any insurance needs, 883-9300. The Fantasy Professionals. See you guys.